All right, so then I saw that you said in an interview that you was influenced by Jay-Z, Biggie, Big Pun, Sean Price, DMX, Redman, and Big L, right? So you were mainly influenced by
Yes,
New
sir.
York MCs, with the exception of Reggie. Were you not influenced by Philly rappers, or was it because at this time Philly wasn't really on the map like it is now?
Yeah, at that time, Philly rappers didn't really influence me in any particular way. I say at that time I was more influenced by punchlines, and at that time, Philly that wasn't how Philly rapped. Philly was all about being cool and wearing Guess jeans and sharp shape ups and cheesesteaks and just the culture of Philly. It wasn't really about showing off or anything like that yet. So yeah, I was more acclimated to the MCs that made you be like, yo, rewind that. So yeah, those were my guys. But I will say I was influenced by the West Coast, believe it or not. As weird as that sound. I heard what was that? Today Was a Good Day, that type of joint by like an Ice Cube. Though I was into more punchline heavy music, when I heard Ice Cube though with the storytelling, that blew my mind. It blew my mind just as much as a punchline. So those were, believe it or not, outside of the guys that you named, I would say following that would be the Ice Cube, as much as you wouldn't think so. And it's just for the storytelling capabilities.
Yeah, and I can see that because like with your songs, it's a lot of like painting imagery. You know what I mean? The way that you do like
Yes.
your storytelling. And I feel like that's what Today Was a Good Day was about. Like you could just see it in your mind what he's talking about, even though it's not very
Right.
complex, right? It's not like all
No,
these
it wasn't.
multi-syllables or anything like that, but like the way that he worded it was like perfect.
I think that's the beauty. I think I've learned to do that style recently in the last probably 2 years. I added to that to my chart. I would say as skills. Like believe it or not, being lyrical is a skill, but being able to touch a person, pause, without being super lyrical and be able to just tell a story, that's a whole different talent. And I'm just learning how if you do it right, you can say something very simple. And I think somebody that mastered that would be like a Tupac. Tupac didn't rhyme super lyrical, but the way he would say one line would hit you as well as a punchline would.
Right, right. And I was just thinking at the moment that you said that too, that like he mastered that. He was really good at doing that.
Right, right.
So you and I got linked up recently because you had put out this freestyle where you did this Terror Squad rhyme scheme, right? And you shouted out my bro,
Yeah,
Cuban Link. And lots of people
yes,
like to
sir.
play the politics in the industry. So even if they rock with Cuban, they won't mention or support him because they fear the backlash of it.
Mm.
And I was surprised when you responded to my DM for because I was thanking you for that. And you knew who I was. It's funny because Cuban and I, we got our Lincoln Panda Show podcast, and he's always mentioned your name so many times and shown love. Cuban, I know you watching
Fire.
this, so get off your ass and give this man a verse because we need that collaboration real quick. How would you say
Absolutely.
Big Pun and the Terror Squad influenced you growing up?
A whole bunch, man. Big Pun is responsible single handedly for a big portion of my syllable breakdown, the way I rhyme. Without Pun, I probably wouldn't be as nice as I am. I think that whole era of the Terror Squad running with Fat Joe, from the moment that I heard Fat Joe sign them, and I had just heard the freestyle with Big Pun, and he did the snatch the moon out the sky and blow the sun away. When I heard that, I said, yo, he's just signed the illest MC probably I've ever heard in my life. So I watched that whole process go from signing them to everybody rolling together to when, unfortunately, the situation with Cuban and Joe. So I seen the whole thing. Again, Big Pun is a big part of my lyrical style, the way that I style my lyrics. But I will say, I can't act like Cuban Link hasn't been nice since I was a young boy. Like, we all know Big Pun was a monster, but we also got to acknowledge for Cuban to be so young at that time and to not be getting smoked by Pun at that time, we was waiting for Pun's bars, and then we was waiting for Cuban bars, and then we would check Joe. I'm just being honest. So in that order. So with that said, I could never lose that respect and act like Cuban wasn't somebody that I grew up listening to. So though they got they differences, I'm gonna always have the respect for Fat Joe. Fat Joe is a legend. I'm gonna always rock with Fat Joe. that they situation don't have nothing to do with me. I'm gonna always have love for Cuban. So I think as long as I maintain a respect for both sides, I don't think it should be a problem.
And I respect that. You know what I mean? Because like you said, that situation has nothing to do with you. It's not your business, but it shouldn't prevent you from showing love to either side, right? Because you weren't there.
Absolutely.
You had nothing to do with it. You know what I'm saying? And I
Yeah,
respect that.
and as much as I got love for Cuban, I would hope that Cuban, if I ever seen Fat Joe, I would hope Cuban know I'm gonna give Joe love. I would do a record with Joe, and I would hope Cuban wouldn't feel away because again, I'm a student at hip hop. I don't care about nobody beef. I want to do records with the dopest MCs. Period.
Right, right. No doubt, man.